Welcome back, everybody. Our next speaker is a Bosnian American scientist. He's a megalithic and pyramid site researcher. He's an internationally acclaimed speaker, author of 18 books on ancient civilizations, and he has written and narrated a 12-episode documentary called The Search for Lost Civilizations for the state television of Bosnia, Herzegovina, and he is the founder of an archaeological park called the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. He is best known for discovering an ancient pyramid complex in oh my God. I didn't picture it yesterday. Visoko, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which many scientists claim is the largest man-made structure in the world and also the oldest. So he has served as that project's principal investigator since 2005. So join me in welcoming Dr. Sam Osmanagich.
Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you to all of you who extended your support after my yesterday's talk. Thank you. The title of my keynote talk is about the pyramids around the world and megalithic sites. I will try to answer the question if Paleolithic and Neolithic man was capable of building those monumental structures. I started my talk yesterday with the words that I've been researching pyramid sites for the last 40 years, and that I concluded that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. And let me extend a little bit. They teach us about the origin of man, us, Homo sapiens, that we are product of the evolution. Basically, from the ape man and Neanderthal. Neanderthal was the most advanced animal species. Even though they were bigger than us humans, and even the brain capacity was bigger, they still belong to the animal kingdom. And then, almost all of the sudden, more than 300,000 years ago, after many unsuccessful tries, we have a new species on the planet, Homo sapiens sapiens, us. If we were to develop from Neanderthals, it would take about 5 to 6 million years. And it happened, geologically speaking, overnight. Unlike all other species, we were not accustomed to this environment because half of our genes belong to this planet and the other half to cosmic genetics. And we were created to serve and to obey, mostly to follow the instructions so our ancestors can work in the gold mines. But that was 300,000 years ago. In biology, there is expression missing link. Missing between Neanderthal and Homo sapiens. That link will never be found because we are product of the genetical engineering. The second thing I mentioned, the civilizations. They teach us in schools that only 6,000 years ago, the first civilizations arose, Sumerians. And then 5,000 years back, Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, Hittite, ancient Egypt, ancient India, ancient China. But this is just the last cycle of humanity. Only in the last 100,000 years, we've had at least 5 civilizational cycluses. And finally, the pyramids. We have been programmed to think that pyramids were built in Egypt and Mexico. And that's wrong. They are built on all 6 continents in more than 30 countries, as we're going to see tonight. For Egyptian pyramids, we've been taught that they are built as the tombs for the pharaohs. According to the non-scientific Wikipedia, there are 118 pyramids in Egypt. And you can read the same thing in Encyclopedia Britannica. And all educational programs in Western world are based on Encyclopedia Britannica. National Geographic, Smithsonian. And nowadays you ask the DeepSeek or ChatGPT 4.0, they will tell you the same thing. Well, in reality, there are not 118, but 155 pyramids in Egypt. I've seen, visited, and researched all of them. Not a single one has a mummy. So let's start. The most important document, artifact from ancient Egypt, for me, is not even in Egypt. It is in Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy. It's a very old museum from 1820s. As a matter of fact, just last year they had 200 years. They reconstructed it, and what they did, they moved this artifact, this papyrus, which is 6.5 feet long, 1.5 feet wide. They move it from the ground floor, where before everybody could see it, to the 4th, the last floor, where nobody can see it. Why is it so important? Because it lists the names of all Egyptian rulers in 11 columns with the dates when they ruled. This document is divided into 3 sections. The third section, or third phase of history of Egypt, is the phase of sons of gods. The Egyptian rulers did not call themselves pharaohs. It came much later with the ancient Greek civilizations. They called themselves sons of gods, telling to the public that they have divine origin. Well, they were humans, like us. Some of them would rule Egypt 10 years, some of them 20 years, and some of them, like Ramesses II, 67 years. And they start with the dynasty numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is, Hufu, Khafre, Mykerinos, 5, 6, 19th, and so on. The phase before this one was the phase of the demigods or semi-gods. And they would rule Egypt 200 years or even 300 years each. This phase is called the phase during the Venerable Shemsu Hor. It lasted more than 13,000 years. And the phase number 1, before all of them, was the phase of gods. And they would rule Egypt 1,000 years each. And this phase lasted for 23,200 years. So how old is the Egyptian history? 23,200 plus 13,420 plus the last one, 5,100, it's total of 41,720 years. It says in the document. And they are telling us it's only 5,000 years. 41 is much more than 5,000. What archaeologists and historians do, they take what fits into their narrative. They are selective. You don't do that. Either you take everything, or if you have reasons, you reject everything. But this is what they've been doing to us for the longest time. And even more important document is when we go to the east, you can find a huge artifact. It's a stela, stone plate, the Sumerian king list. It's written in the ancient Sumerian language. It lists all Sumerian rulers with the names and the dates. The first ruler in Sumer is 271,578 years old, but before Christ, or 273,500 years. 273,000. And his name was Alulim. He ruled Sumer for 28,800 years. After him, Alajar, 36,000. So, 2 kings, 64,800 years. And those gods were ruling Sumer until 32,000 years back. After that, we have the lesser gods, 23 kings who ruled for 24,000 years. 23 kings, 24,000, 1,000 years in average. Exactly the same like Egyptian rulers. And finally, 8,000 years back, the children of God. The rulers, the Homo sapiens, as we know them. So, in the case of Sumer, we simply need to dig deeper, and we're going to find more cultural layers. We have confirmed only 6,000 years of Sumerian history. If we go deeper, 8, 9, 15, 20, and so on. They found a lot of Neolithic vases in Egypt. This is how one of the vase paintings look like. It is 6,000 BC, or about 8,000 years old. You know how they tell us that the first Egyptian pyramids were built 4,600 years ago? And this is 8,000 years old? That's deep in the Neolithic times, the primitive man. So how come they have so many pyramids on their ceramic vases? Or even more on this one here. Something does not fit. These are the 3 most famous Egyptian pyramids. They are close to the capital city of Cairo, at the Giza Plateau. They call them, for some reason, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Khufu Pyramid, or Cheops Pyramid. Khephren, who used to be either his brother or his son, and Mykerinos, or Myceren, who was grandson to Pharaoh Khufu. They belong to the 4th dynasty. We have not a single proof who really built those pyramids. You enter those pyramids, they are empty. Passageways, grand galleries, chambers, empty. Some of you probably went to the Great Pyramid of Egypt and visited so-called king's chamber. And Egyptologists are saying there is a sarcophagus there. Wrong. It is not a sarcophagus. It's simply a granite box. No lid. Of course, in those chambers, no paintings, no hieroglyphic writings, no tools ever found, no organic materials, no royal furniture, not a single proof of who really built them. However, Egyptologists, because of the British elites, joined by French, German, and last 50 years American, supported by Hollywood movies, they convinced us. Egyptian pyramids, pharaohs, tombs. So this is the Great Pyramid of Egypt. 6.5 million tons of blocks. Now, the location of the Great Pyramid. The latitude, 29 degrees and 9792458 north. The speed of light in kilometers is 299, 792, 458 meters per second. Somebody who built the pyramid, first of all, he was using our metric measurements. And secondly, they knew decimals, 10 decimals of 1 second. The Egyptologists are telling us that in order to build this, which is the combination of the limestone and granite, and the granite on Mach scale is number 7. They said in order to build this, this is all they needed. Primitive, inferior, soft, copper tools. And those wooden tools. This to build that. The length at the base, 230 meters, 234. Two lengths, 460.8, divided by height, by original height, 146.5. The result is 3.14, which is the number pi. Officially, according to our scientists, this number will not be known to the humanity for another 2,000 years. Only with the ancient Greek mathematicians we learned about the rough value of number pi. An exact value in the 17th century, just a few hundred years back. But it is here, in front of our eyes. If it was a tomb, why would somebody incorporate speed of light? The distance between our planet and the sun, the distance between our planet and the moon, the number pi into this colossal structure. Does not make sense. Elements of sacred geometry. This is probably the most important one. It's called Fibonacci or golden section spiral. The way you get it, you have the sequence of numbers, and each number is the sum of two preceding numbers. For example, 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 3 plus 5 equals 8, 5 plus 8 equals 13, 8 plus 13, 21. So what you do, you connect the corners of those squares 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, and you are getting this beautiful Fibonacci spiral. Why is this spiral so important? Because we can see it everywhere in the nature. For example, the seashell, here it is. We can see the spiral. And the spiral, same like this one here, is counterclockwise. This one here The flowers, it's a clockwise. This one here, it's a clockwise. The spiral galaxy, it's a clockwise. Our DNA strains, it's a clockwise. The seashells, counterclockwise. Here, the storm, clockwise. It's everywhere in the nature. It seems that this is the way how the universe is creating all the life in the universe with this energy movement, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Fibonacci spiral. The ancient pyramid builders were applying this spiral when they were laying out their structures. This is the Giza Plateau. The beginning of the spiral is right here. Here, under the Giza Plateau, there is an underground structure. According to some, this is the King Thoth's or God's Thoth's holy chamber. For many, Thoth is really a designer and a builder of Egyptian pyramids. So we start from here, and then on the same line we have top of the Mykerinos pyramids, Khafre pyramids, and Khufu pyramids. And not only that, when from this spot we draw the straight line, we hit the red granite or the Valley Temple. Another straight line, 90 degrees, the Sphinx, and then we go back. So we have this triangle. And this line here has an angle of 28 degrees northwest. And it finishes in Hudson Bay, Canada, where until 12,000 years ago was the North Pole. Three Egyptian pyramids and more Fibonacci spirals, touching the base of second, going through top of first one, touching the corner of the third one. And more. This is the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. We start with the spiral, it touches the base, middle of the height, and top of the pyramid. No coincidence where they're going to lay out the chambers and the size. Great Pyramid, second, third, looking in the mirror. And now we can start playing with the geometry. We start right here. The spiral touches the corner of Great Pyramid, corner of Khafre, corner of Mykerinos. The layout was part of the master plan. They are telling us one pharaoh, thousands of slaves, 20 years. Forget that. Master plan, and they were executed in a very short period of time. But not by the Paleolithic or Neolithic man. In the Great Pyramid of Egypt, we already established that we have number pi incorporated, but also number phi, which is golden section number. Here's the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Now, to the right is our topic from yesterday, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, which is 2.5 times higher than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. So we have Giza complex, 3 pyramids, 4 smaller ones. At least they are, remain. The Sphinx, the Valley Temple. In the case of Bosnia, number 1 is the Sun Pyramid. Number 2, the Moon. Number 3, the Love. 4, Temple of Mother Earth. Number 5, the Dragon. Number 6, the Sixth Pyramid. Number 8, the Tumulus, the tunnels. Huge complex. The side orientation we discussed yesterday. This is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. This is an illustration of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Egyptian has an error to the perfect north, 0 degrees. and 3 minutes. Bosnian, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. Today we're going to be talking about the elements of sacred geometry. And they are flower of life, Fibonacci spiral, equilateral triangle, hexagon. We already mentioned number pi and number phi. You know, for the last 20 years, we've been doing everything to show to the world that we have a scientifically based project. We have organized 7 international scientific conferences on Bosnian pyramids, 110 scientists. But archaeologists, geologists, and the others, they said no, 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 no. So, okay, we asked, so what else do you need? You need to publish scientific articles in double-blinded, peer-review journals. Okay. My first peer-review article was published, you won't believe this, yesterday. This is an original research article, which is called The Spiral Geometry in Ancient Design, Evidence of Fibonacci Proportions in the Egyptian and Bosnian Pyramids. This was published in Acta Scientific Environmental Science Journal. Okay, let's see what we got there. Everything you do there, every sentence, every word has to be scientifically backed. Since I'm talking about the layout of the Bosnian pyramids, we had to do it not through the, Google Maps, but through the most modern technology. Nowadays, it's a LiDAR technology, LiDAR. It is when you have, like I explained yesterday, the plane, laser machine, and laser rays hit the ground, making enough spots or dots so you can make something like this, the true relief and true layout. With the accuracy, this whole area, which is about, let's say, 10 miles, and accuracy is less than 10 centimeters or less than 4 inches. 4 inches. If you take the Google map and you start playing with it, you can be off 1,000 or 1,500 feet. So this is something that's the most modern. So for example, this is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Here we have tunnels. Here's the Moon Pyramid. Here's the Dragon Pyramid, and so on. So based on this relief, we were able to connect dots between the Sun and the Moon Pyramid, this one and that one, 2.2 kilometers, 1.4 miles, precisely 2,170 meters. From the Moon to Dragon, 2.2 kilometers, from Dragon back to the Sun, 2.2 kilometers. So this equilateral triangle is really perfect. And this is the topographic map. This is how it used to be done before, like 20 years ago. This is the Sun Pyramid. This is the Moon. And this here is Dragon. Equilateral triangle in Bosnia, Sun, Moon, Dragon. In Egypt, Khufu, or the Great Pyramid. Mykerinos, Menkauri, the third one. And Gebel Gibli, this is natural pyramid hill nearby. Equilateral triangle. And Bolivia, Tijuanaco, the Sun Temple. Acapena Pyramid, beautiful granite pyramid. And Pumapunku, maybe the most impressive there. Equilateral triangle, 3 continents. They are communicating. More in Bosnia. Number 1, this is Temple of Mother Earth. This is the highest point of triangular face, top of the Love, top of the Sun Pyramid, top of the unnamed structure, entrance to the tunnels. We have 5 points. As long as you have more than 2 points, it is not geological or natural formation. If you have 3 plus, it means it is intentional layout. We have 5 of them here. This here is the Moon Pyramid, the western slope. This here is Temple of Mother Earth, western slope. And this here, Dragon Pyramid. Topographic map is here, Moon, Earth, Dragon. And when we connect their tops, only tops, laser straight line. The blue is one of the 2 rivers in Visoko. This river is called Foinica. Now look how it flows. Here it is east-west direction. And then all of a sudden, once it passed the Dragon Pyramid, all of a sudden, looks like somebody moved the riverbed for more than 90 degrees, getting this river flow inside the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. And then there is a mouth of 2 rivers, River Fonica, and the largest Bosnian river called Bosna, meaning this mouth is artificially made point. So, we go to the top of the Dragon Pyramid, and we draw perfectly straight line going to true north. It ends in the mouth of 2 rivers. 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And then we have some hills which don't even look like pyramids. And then we can see 1, 2, 3 points. This is Temple of Mother Earth, this is the Moon Pyramid, and so on. So they were playing with the millions of tons of material. Top of the sun, moon, dragon, green, and red, top of the Love Pyramid, top of the triangular face of the Temple of Mother Earth, River Fonica, entrance of the tunnels. Triangle within a triangle, sacred geometry. Sacred geometry, movement of the energy. The red is, again, sun, moon, dragon. The center of the triangle is right here. So, let's make a circle touching those 3 points. This one right here. And let's use the same diameter and the same central point of this circle. And let's draw more circles. So, this one right here, going from center to the top of dragon, back to the center, and then, sorry, this one here is Sun Pyramid, this one here center, the Moon Pyramid. In other words, we are getting those 6 circles, and they form perfect hexagonal flower of life, which is also an element of sacred geometry. Now, we have another flower of life. When we use the top of the Sun Pyramid and the top of the Love Pyramid, 2 circles, the same diameter, and 2 more pyramid hills, which we call Krtnica, Chetnica, and this is the base for another flower of life, right here. Here it is, forming those 4 structures. Sun Pyramid, Love, 2 pyramid hills. And there is a third one with inner circles inside the big one, which touches the tops, intersects with the tops of the Sun, Moon, Dragon. I mean, this is mind-blowing. And that's not all. I mentioned the Fibonacci spiral. This is the Sun Pyramid, to give you an idea, the Moon Pyramid, Temple of Mother Earth, Dragon Pyramid, the Love Pyramid, And this is the tumulus, the conical artificial hill. If we start from the top of the Love Pyramid, right here, we intersect with the top of the Sun Pyramid, top of the Temple of Mother Earth, top of the Dragon Pyramid, and all the way to the top of the tumulus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major points. It's very possible that somewhere on the way there are more structures that we cannot see right now. And that's not all. We start from the top of the Sun Pyramid, Fibonacci spiral, and what we have here, top of Temple of Mother Earth, and top of the Dragon Pyramid. And that's not all. Now we start from the mouth of two rivers. We already found out that's an artificial point in the space. We open the spiral, top of the Moon Pyramid, and two corners of the Temple of Mother Earth. And finally, this is the tumulus in the village of Vratnica. Tumulus, you see how it's rounded, conical hill. How do we know it is artificial? Because we've been digging there. And below the layers of soil and clay, we are finding nicely shaped blocks, some of them reaching 24 tons, 52,000 pounds. So we start with one more spiral from mouth of two rivers, and the spiral intersects with the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, entrance to the Ravne tunnels, and top of this tumulus in Vratnica. If we could see a little bit more, then we should be able to see how the energy moves in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Now let's go back to other pyramids around the world. There are 224 Nubian pyramids in northern Sudan. As you can see, the slope is about 70 degrees. In the case of Egyptian pyramids, it goes anywhere from 28 to 66. Bosnian pyramids, the corners at 45 degrees and side slopes at 32 degrees. Why is that important? I think it has something to do with the purpose. Different slopes, different materials, different energy properties. There are 43 pyramids on Italian island of Sicily. They are built from the volcanic stones. They are stepped in design, four-sided. As you can see, the cornerstones are nicely shaped. Now, on the western side of Africa, there is an island called Tenerife. It's part of the Canary Islands. 5 islands, this is the biggest one. And here we used to have 104 pyramids. Again, volcanic stones, they are four-sided, they are stepped in design, the same height of the steps, the same width of the steps, nicely shaped, cornerstones, and from this side, west side, when you climb the stairways during the most important day for the ancients, and we already established, the summer solstice, just before the sun rises, you come to the top of the platform, the sun is rising right here in the middle of this platform. So, the orientation was obviously intentional. I had my lecture at the Tenerife University, and before the lecture I was talking to the professors over there, and I asked them if they visited pyramids in a place called Guimar. They said, well, we were in the Guimar, but according to our Spanish scientific community, they are not pyramids. I said, then they are what? They said, well, it's just a pile of rocks made by local farmers when they were clearing the area to plant, the agricultural products. I said, of course they are not pile of rocks. They are perfectly made pyramids with perfect orientation, with shaped blocks. Well, they stopped talking to me because, I was telling them that their scientific community was wrong, and they never came to my lecture. But I had 350 students who wanted to learn about the pyramids. Those pyramids were built by the civilization called Guanci. Now, Guanci lived in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. They had no natural enemy because people were not sailing from Africa or Europe 5, 7, 8, 10,000 years back. So they had pyramids, temples, irrigation channels, a lot of other stone structures, but no army without the enemy. And then the Spanish came there, end of 15th, beginning of 16th century, while they were sailing towards America. They thought it was India, but they were sailing west. And Guanches were the first one to face Spanish conquerors, and what happened, in a matter of few years, the Spanish completely wiped them off from the face of the planet. So they did a genocide. And today, in order to justify those barbaric acts, they are saying Guanches were barbarians. They were not able to build pyramids. Therefore, you go there, you look at it, and they will tell you, pile of rocks. And this is how the history is being manipulated. On the other side of Africa, east coast, the island of Mauritius, according to the encyclopedias, the first life showed up there in the 12th century. Arab traders. The first people came to live in the 15th centuries. Portuguese, then Spanish, then Netherlands, then UK, and so on. So the island was inhabited until the 15th century. Well, you go through this dense sugarcane, plants, and then you can see a stone structure here. There are 7 beautiful pyramids on this island. Again, volcanic stone, 4 sides, the same height of the stairs. They are stepped pyramids, the same width. I've calculated it took 20,000 tons of shaped volcanic stones to build those 7 pyramids. And their orientation, the side looking perfectly to the east during the summer solstice. However, the Mauritius is in southern hemisphere, so summer solstice for them is December 22nd. So I wrote a report, sent it to the government of Mauritius, and suggested that we collaborate on this research. And I got the answer. Dr. Osmanagich, we don't have pyramids. That, what you claim that there are pyramids, are actually pile of rocks, the same terminology. Built a couple of 100 years back, when the local farmers were de-rocking the area from the volcanic stones. So they were throwing those stones behind their back, and miraculously, the pyramids grew out of nowhere. While on the island, I had a press conference, and I provided all the evidence that I had at the time. The next day, there was a big article in the largest daily, which is called L'Express. And they said, smart Bosnian wants to reinvent our history. He claims that we have pyramids, and we know very well that we don't have them. What's the problems with those governments? And really, who to believe? Governments or our own eyes? The problem is, if encyclopedia is saying there were no people until 15th century, then of course you cannot have pyramids. The same thing Canary Islands, the same thing Sicily, the same thing as we're going to see in China and many other countries. Our history has been controlled so carefully by very powerful, evil forces. The Mayan civilization was located in 5 Central American countries. We know them today as Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. Officially, Mayans showed up like 3,000 years back. And it was told that Olmecs was mother of all civilizations. I did my PhD on Mayan civilization, proving that Mayans are at least 7,500 years old, based on organic materials, domesticated seeds. For the longest time, this pyramid in northern Guatemalan Mayan city of Tikal was considered the highest one, 72 meters. It's about 245 feet. And it's really monumental. However, the bigger one has been discovered recently. If you walk 3 days from Tikal, you're going to come to El Mirador. It's a jungle, as you can see. And this is their biggest pyramid, 74 meters, 2 meters higher. We have more than 100,000 pyramids built by the Mayan civilization. And the British, through their sources, they don't even call them civilizations. They call them Neolithic community. Neolithic. If this pyramid is cleared, it would look like this. The Mayan city of Palenque in central Mexican state of Chiapas has 25 cleared pyramids. This is one of the best known temple of inscriptions. 25. They're all stepped pyramids. But originally they had 1,229 pyramids. Only 3% have been cleared. What do we know about civilization based only on 3% of the pyramids, temples, and cities? We know almost nothing. They keep us in the dark. Purposely. Why I'm saying that? This on your left. It is a forest, of course, but the forest is growing from the biggest and the oldest pyramid in Palenque. Now, that does not make sense. They teach us before we were primitive caveman people, and today we are the most sophisticated, the most intelligent, the most technological developed, and the most beautiful. Well, we are not. Here we can see that the biggest and the most superior is at the same time the oldest. In Egypt, 28 biggest stone pyramids, even according to Egyptologists, belong to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th dynasty. Those who came later were built from the mud bricks, from inferior material, 12th, 18th, and 19th dynasty. How is that possible? What happened with the evolution? We have not evolution, devolution. Here it is. The famous Egyptian Institute for Anthropology and History does not have any intention to clean the biggest one. Only 4 Mayan sites have been opened in El Salvador, very small country. This is one of the pyramids. How do we know? Look at the stairs here. And more, covered by grass. If cleared, it would look like this. Oshkintok, it's Yucatan Peninsula. Badly damaged, partially restored pyramids. Nobody heard about this town before. Or Yaxchilan. You need to use the river boat to get there. It says you can swim. Well, you are riding the boat, and then the guide tells you, yeah, you can swim. Of course, there are some alligators, but you can swim. So you reach this place, and this is the top of the pyramid. There is a huge, looks like a hill, structure below it. We know almost nothing about the Mayan civilization. But the most monumental structures are in Chichen Itza, which is a touristic place. It's beautiful, it's rather recent. And this is one of their towers, Black Jaguar. And one of the most beautiful for me is Jail. It's on the Puc route, Yucatan. Look at this architectural style. It matches what we had in Europe during the ancient times. Beautiful columns. They're saying Neolithic community. Look at the 3D art in Kabah. Can you imagine? In the evenings, you got the fire, you got this beautiful light. All these sculptures, they become alive while people are talking stories about their ancestors. Or this one here. Beautiful art, 3D art coming from the facade. Or the wall of masks in Kabah. Every mask has a face. This is tiny Belize, the smallest country in Central America. They had 1,000 cities, towns, villages. Every one of them would have several pyramids at least. So when I said 100,000 total in Central America, probably it's a big underestimation. As you can see here, some of the structures are partially cleared, but many, many thousands are still in the jungle. Astronomy. These are observatory that the Mayan were using. They're always surrounded, and we'll discuss the layout of the windows and the doors. The Mayan left only 5 written documents that are available today. We call them codexes. This is Dresden Codex, because it was guarded in Dresden in eastern Germany. There is Paris Codex, there is Madrid, New York, and Prague. Only 5 codexes, and they had tens of thousands of them. It's like a papyrus. What happened to them when the Spanish came in the 16th century, once they realized that that civilization was so much more advanced than Spanish at the time, they decided to destroy everything. Now, when the Spanish came, the Mayans were not there. Some of you maybe watched a movie by Mel Gibson called Apocalypto, about the Mayans. There is a guy who's running all the time, there are some other guy. They are building the pyramids and they are under the influence. They are shown like crazy, barbaric people. And finally, the movie ends with this guy coming to the shore, the beach, and the Spanish are coming. Now, the Spanish came in the 16th century, and the last Mayan disappeared in the 10th century. There is 600 years gap. When I was doing my PhD, I wrote in my thesis that the Mayan disappeared from all their cities and villages in the 10th century. And really, you can see that some of their temples and pyramids were stopped abruptly in the 10th century. And something happened. All these people, and we're talking about millions of people, disappeared. They never had the big wars. Sometimes, they had some, little fight between villages which lasted one day. That's it. They were not like us, barbarians, First World War, Second World War, millions of that. No. But if you read articles, people who write about Mayans, they were, tribal people, they were attacking each other, they were doing the wars all the time. No. Now, this is Dresden Codex. What we know about the Mayan writing and numbers we can read. Writings only about 25%. So 75% we haven't been able to decipher, and I'll explain later why. So this codex talks about different things, about agriculture, about the astronomy, about the laws, legal stuff, and so on. So in this codex, we can see the symbol for the planet Venus. And we can read 5 numbers, 236, 90, 250, 8, so the total of 584. So what are these numbers? So we have planet Venus, and we have, for example, 236. Well, 236 is the period where this planet is visible from Central America, and they called it morning star. Venus is rather big, so it can be seen in the morning. 236 days. And then, of course, if we believe that we have a planet going around the sun, and then the Venus goes behind the sun, so it cannot be seen from our planet for 90 days, because it is hidden behind the sun. And then, eventually, Venus comes back, but this time as the night star for 250 days, and then again, it's gone for 8 days. So this is how you decipher what you have in those codexes. Numbers and symbol for Venus. So, the conclusion, they were astronomers. One of the very beautiful Mayan city in Yucatan Peninsula, but west side, is called Uxmal. When the Spanish came here, they realized that all the pyramids are on the north-south axis, except one structure, this one here. This one here is moved from north-south for 19 degrees. And nowadays, when you take this 19 degrees and you draw the line, about 20 miles away, you're going to hit another Mayan town. It's a small place called Chechuk. And over there, the same scenario. All the structures are north-south oriented except one, which is 19 degrees. So those two structures basically match in this imaginary line. Why 19 degrees? Because the planet Venus is at 19 degrees in its most southern place. After that, it goes up on horizon, then coming back. So, obviously, they did have astronomical knowledge. Now, I did mention different positions of the planet. For Venus, it takes about those 5 positions. It takes about this one cycle, as they call it. 5 of those cycluses is 2,920 days. 5 cycluses. Which cycluses? Those here. 2,920 days is exactly 8-hour years. 2,920. And here, on this wall, we can see the numbers, of course, the Mayan numbers, 5 and 8, 5 and 8, 5 and 8, meaning that our 8 calendar years perfectly match 5 synodical cycluses of planet Venus. talking about the astronomy. They were following the sun very carefully. There is a place called Jibel Khaltun on Yucatan also. Beautiful temple with a gate. 2 days every year, and 2 days only. Spring equinox and fall equinox. The sun rises in this gate and it can be seen completely. Every other day is a little bit off, to the left or to the right. So just by looking at this gate, you know exactly when you have 21st of March or September 23rd, equinox. Now about the astronomy. This observatory we called Caracol. It is located in Chichen Itza. Of course, it's been partially damaged, but what we have here below, we have the ground floor, we have the first floor. Well, what we have here, we have doors and we have windows. We have 4 doors. And they are perfectly oriented to the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south, with a less than 1 degree tolerance. Perfect orientation. And then here we can see the windows. So those upper windows match, number 1, the most southern and the most northern position of the most important star constellation for ancients, the Pleiades. And then it also, through those windows, you can follow the movement of the sun during the spring and the fall equinox. And of course, the planet Venus, which was the most important planet in our solar system for them. It's not the biggest, but it was the most important. It seems that they were getting the knowledge from this very planet. From who? When we think about, like you talk about the extraterrestrials, we always think about, the physical form, and we have excellent, optimal conditions for life, temperature is just right. Yes, for us. But if there is a couple of 100 degrees, it doesn't mean that some other living forms cannot survive there. And for the Mayans, they were always referring to the planet Venus. Now we are in western Honduras. This is the most artistic Mayan city of Copan. And this is their biggest pyramid. Now you can see those big trees. The roots were going under those plates, damaging the pyramid. So 30 years ago, archaeologists from Honduras, with the help of the archaeologists from the United States, decided to repair, to do some reconstructive work. While doing that, while removing those trees, while removing those plates, they realized that inside the pyramid there is 600 years older temple than the pyramid itself. Meaning, the pyramid in this particular case was made for something else, as a protection for something more important. The beauty about this thing is that this temple has stayed perfectly preserved, even the colors and all the carvings. So what they did, and I admire them, I met with a guy, Filippo, the local sculptor, who actually made the replica, one-on-one, 100%, made the replica of this temple at the site. Now, look at above the entrance. Here, exactly above, is a symbol for our planet. And here, the white one, the big one, is a symbol for our galaxy. The Mayan called them Hunab Ku. So our planet, our galaxy, and to the left and to the right, behind this handsome guy, we have vehicles, the wheels, the body of the vehicle, and the cabin. Wheels, body, cabin. And who's inside the cabin? Typical Mayan profile. Big forehead, big nose, big cheek. Look at this. This ornament means it was someone of royal origin. So, what are you talking about? The vehicles between our planet and our galaxy? What are they suggesting? Well, if they had vehicles a few thousand years back, so either there was some network of highways in the state of Honduras, in the middle of the jungle, or somehow they were moving through space, getting the knowledge about the astronomy. Let's stay in Copan. This place here was at the stadium in Copan. You go to some sites like Wikipedia, you read about Copan, it will tell you, well, it was an important city of a couple of thousand people. But the stadium there is built for 20,000 people. You don't build a stadium for 20,000 to host 2,000 people. As a matter of fact, if the stadium is 20,000, it means the city was at least 100,000. Not everyone will come to stadium for the games. And this is where the royals would sit. And then here, see there's like dots, 1, 2, 3, and like a little line. Well, this is their numbers. When it comes to numbers, what we use today are called Arab or Arabic numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So through those 10 numbers, we can express any number. We can, let's say 10 or million or 5 billions through those 10 numbers, 10 digits. But the Mayans had only 2 different digits, different numbers. The first one was dot. 1 dot, number 1. 2 dots, number 2. 4 dots, number 4. Now, we will not go to the billions with the billion dots. 4 dots, that's it. After 4, we have 1 line. 1 line represents number 5. 2 lines, 5 plus 5, 10. 3 lines, 5, 5, 5, 15. So if you have 4 dots and 3 lines, it's 4 plus 15, it's 19. Well, the first row was going from 1 to 19. Basically, they had a base of 20. Today we use decimal system, base of 10. 10, 100, millions. They had 20. The second row, 1 dot was 20. 2 dots, 40. 3 dots, 60. 4 dots, 80. 1 line, 100. So the second row was from 20 to 400. The third row, the same scenario, from 400 to 8,000. The fourth row, 8,000, 160,000. The fifth row, 160,000, 3 million, then 200. In other words, 5 rows, you reach millions. In our case, for millions, we need 7 digits, 1 and 6 zeros, right? So you see how simple way to express numbers. Just 2 different signs. Amazing. The simpler, more advanced. And the Englishmen are saying they were primitive, Neolithic community. Really. So now we can read the time. Through those numbers, they were saying when something was happening. In eastern Guatemalan city of Quirigua, there is a huge stela, which is about 40 feet high, 65 tons. That's 200,000 pounds. Of course, the question is how they move 65 tons. But it's there. In this stela, we can read many numbers. and some other symbols that we cannot decipher. But numbers we do know. They were always showing the number of days, not years, days, which they call kin, day, kin. One of the numbers is showing an event that happened 1,800,000,000 days ago. It's about 5 million years ago. What were they describing that happened 5 million years ago? They've been teaching us that we are the only civilization who have sense for geological time, for thousands of years, for millions of years, for billions of years. No, we are not. 5 million years ago. And there are two more numbers. One is 4.5 billion years, and the other one 13 billion years. What was happening then? I think if we ask astronomers, they will tell you that probably it's about the age of our planet, which is between 4 and 5 billion years. And the Mayan, it seems to me, knew exactly when this planet came to existence. And the other one, 13 billion, according to the astronomers and the physicists, our universe is between 12 and 15 billion years old. It seems that the Mayans knew that. How? Beat me. I said that we will never decipher 75% of their symbols. This is something you won't be able to see anywhere. It's in Honduras, in Copan. Hidden. I had to clear, some bushes to make this photo. Now, they had symbolic writing, symbols. Symbolic writing was Kabbalah, today's Israel. Symbolic writing, hieroglyphic symbols. Symbolic writing, in India, Vincha civilizations, runic writings. When I think about the way how to communicate, I made my own classification. I'm saying the simplest way is to make a sign. For example, an arrow. Arrow is a sign, means go to the right. That's the first level. The second level is the alphabet that we use today. A, B, C, D. So we have letters, A, B, but those letters have no meanings. Letter A means nothing. Letter B means nothing. Only if you put 4, 5, 10 letters together, you get a word. So now the word has a meaning. You put together H-O-M-E, home. Well, it has a meaning for us. That's the second level. The third, more sophisticated level, are the symbols. Every symbol has a meaning. And not only that, the Mayans were writing in sets of 4 symbols. This is the first set. This is one symbol, this is another one. This is the third one, and this is the fourth one. You put those symbols together, they communicate to each other, like the energies, creating a synergy, a new meaning. So from left to right, they communicate, left to right, they communicate. And not only that, the first row communicates with the second row, and diagonally. In order to read this, you have to write the book. That's how sophisticated knowledge you had to have to decipher them. But the real problems that Mayologists have are those symbols themselves. Look at this symbol. What is this? It does not belong to any known species of this planet. So how can you decipher it? No way to do that. Look at this guy. This is a skull that does not belong to any species ever lived on this planet. Yeah. Talking about those species, I used to take tours to Israel, Jordan, and Palestine. Israel and Palestine. And there is a site in northern Israel that belongs to Yarmoukhian culture. They were doing explorations in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. And they were finding a lot of figurines like this one. presenting this guy with the elongated skull and elongated eyes. A little bit about the megalithic sites. I won't have time to talk a lot about them, but they're also a very interesting subject. This is the best known megalithic site in the world. It's called Stonehenge. It's in the southwestern England. This is what we have today. Damaged stones, we have some lintel-like structures, and we are told that primitive Neolithic man, 5,200 years ago, built the structure here, which originally looked like this. So it seems that these guys, one day they decided, they said, listen, what we do here, it's so boring. Let's do something exciting. Why don't we go to Wales, 200 miles away from here, and cut the grey stone of 25 to 75 tons and move it here through the valleys and hills and rivers and lakes and place it right there. And besides the grey stones, they knew about the blue stones also. So they came here, and this is what they did. Now, let's do a little math here. Originally, we had 30 upright megaliths, 30, and we have 30 those megaliths that were placed horizontally. 30 plus 30 is 60. They form a circle. Circle, today we use, one circle is 360 degrees. 60 times 360 is 21,600. 21,600. Let's see where this monument is located. If we take the latitude, it is from the equator, 51 degrees, 10 minutes, and 42 seconds. Just for fun, let's multiply 51 times 10 times 42. The result is 21,340. So it is not 21,600. And just for fun, let's do something that Google coordinates cannot give us today. And that's after degree, minute, and seconds, we add, after the seconds, 10 digits, fraction of 1 second. So now let's multiply that. 41 times 10 times 52, comma, 3329411764. When we multiply that, we're going to get exactly 21,600. Coincidence? Yes, sure. What does it tell us? It tells us that these guys were extreme case of not engineers, but PhDs in geodesy. Of course, they have flying drones or something because they knew exactly where the equator was, because one Sunday they said it's too boring, let me go to the equator about 5,000 miles and then go back. So they had the concept of circle. They knew how to transport, how to shape, how to cut, and how to locate, and how to find the most energetical places on the planet. Was it Paleolithic or Neolithic man? I don't think so. Spain. Spain in a place called Palencia. It's hour and a half driving time from Valladolid, in the middle of Spain. There used to be 3 pyramids. One, this is the church here, Jesus, like the one you have here, a big one. The second one, and there was a third one. There they are. 1, 2, the third smaller one. It's like in Egypt. The Great Pyramid, Khafre, Mycerinus. The third one they destroyed 15 years ago. The local factory, they needed sand for the construction work. It is said that a lot of archaeological material was discovered, and never to see by public. These two guys, the same height, 74 meters, exactly like in Mexico. And their layout, exactly the same like in Mexico, Teotihuacan, and in Egypt, Giza Plateau. But what we're going to do now, so those structures are here. We draw the perfect line to the north, and we end up in the huge cathedral. Now this place today have about 5,000 inhabitants, and this cathedral was built 600 years ago. At that time it had less than 1,000, but they built a cathedral, not a church, cathedral, huge cathedral, meaning it was very important, pyramids and a cathedral. And when you get there, above the entrance, you can see, there's like a carved line. Below the line, you can see human faces. You can see the soldiers and farmers and women and kids, humanity. And above this line, you can see this. Look at this guy. Look at the head. Now, we do have eyes, jaws, but we have this, extended head, and another one here. Obviously, 2 hands, 2 legs, look at their backs. A little bit different than ours. And this one here. What they are looking down to us, people, exactly, and literally. They're looking down to us. They're saying, we created you, we rule. You, humanity. So we have this guy. This is probably male, this one female. This is the feeling I have. Huh? This is the way to get rid of them. So we have predator. But what's missing? Now, we know the movies. Alien versus predator. Alien. So, is there a way that we can find an alien? I'm in Mexico. What would you say? Is it a human skull? No. Of course. It's an alien skull. So now the story got completed. So SF movies are really not SF. They are scientific. Let's go to Peru. In Peru, there are more than 300 pyramids. In a southern part called Cavachi, it's about 50 miles south from the famous Nazca lines. Italian archaeologists discovered 3 pyramids. In the meantime, the whole city of pyramids was discovered at the place where nobody thought there was anything. No residential areas, just pyramids. Who built them? When? They are telling us 1,500 years. Wrong, much, much older. This is the place in the northern Peru. It's called Tucumán. There are 200 Tucumán pyramids. Well, they look just like a natural formation. Really. Remove the desert sand, and then you find the walls made from the bricks. In order to build this one, they needed more than 100 million bricks. And you go to the northeast, find a place called Trujillo, local brewing company, most famous. They're actually financing archaeological digging there. Huaca del Sol is the largest pyramid in South America. Huaca del Sol, the pyramid or temple of the sun. Across Huaca de la Luna, the pyramid of the moon. In order to build this one, what today we have is 150 million bricks. 2 pyramids, 300 million bricks. But what we have today is just 1/3 of its original size. How come? When the Spanish came in the 16th century, they had only one aim: to rob these advanced people, to steal their gold and silver. They came to this place, a huge structure. They could not even imagine something like that in Spain. They did not know where to start. So what they did, they moved the river bed, the local river, exactly to the pyramid, and the pyramid was washed away 2/3 of it. That's our civilization. Medieval European countries, Spain, Portugal, France, Netherlands, Belgium, UK, are the base for the Western society. Go back to Mexico. Tula is the most northern place with the pyramids. 3 of them have been reconstructed. Here we can see 8 stone columns. The city was assigned to Toltecs, which I disagree. Toltecs are basically the most spiritual people in every community. But let's say that they are right. They are saying they were there from the 8th to 12th century, then disappeared. And the Toltecs, according to them, call those columns Atlanteans. And those columns are showing 5 different races: black and white, and red and yellow, and brown. How do they know about all races in the 8th century? And they are telling us that there was no communication between the continents. And also Toltecs were saying that they came from the east, from the Red Land. To the east from Mexico is the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And the Red Land is volcanic soil. And indeed, until the 12,000 years back, there was a huge island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which was rather big size, 150 miles by 300 miles. And then, during probably the cosmic accident, this island sunk. It's volcanic material, it goes up and down, even nowadays. Some people think that actually people who came to Mexico, who survived the catastrophe, have their ancestors, people from land of Atlantis. Now, let's go back to Chichen Itza, the famous Kukulkan pyramid. A beautiful, one of the most beautiful examples of the pyramid architecture. During 2 days every year, equinox, again, spring and fall. Spring equinox, you can see the stairways, and you can see the play of the light and the shadow. And the light forms like a snake. And over there, we have, of course, the big face of the dragon. So it is like in the spring, their god, Kukulkan, is coming down to the earth. Now, until 2007, like I said yesterday, you were able to climb this pyramid. And this is when I made this photo. It came later, it was forbidden. When you were walking the pyramid, you could hear the echo, but this echo had some pitchy sound, very high sound. I'm talking rather, soft. Can everybody hear me? In the back, they don't hear me. Do I need to start again with the lecture? And there are legends that every time you climb the pyramid, you actually invite Quetzalcoatl, the god, to come back. The god who brought the knowledge to these people. And you invite him through the sacred bird of Quetzal. Now this is Quetzal. It is filmed in the natural habitat in Mexico. Now, just for the fun, let's see what is the sound, what is the frequency of this bird. You record it, and it produces sound between 900 hertz and 1300 hertz. And now, just for the fun, let's see, when we walk the stairs, what is the frequency that we produce? Two elements affect this sound. The first one is the width of the stairs, and the second one is the height of the stairs, because the sound bounce. The width of the stairs, if some of you were climbing this pyramid, it's rather narrow. Why? Because the Mayans were rather short. They were 5 foot in height. So their shoes were proportionally smaller than ours. So probably the male size was 8. So the width, narrow, we can understand that. But the height, it's 3 times taller than what you would expect. Why? Well, from the height, we got frequency of 922, and from the width or length, 1310. So we are in between 900 and 1300. Between 900 and 1300, the builders purposely created this structure that every time you walk the stairs, it is like you record the melody. And every time you start playing this melody, you are inviting those who brought you the knowledge. And who was climbing the stairs? The priests only. Genius. Do we learn about that from official archaeologists or historians? No. They say, oh, this place, ceremonies, rituals, sacrificing, religious purposes. When you hear those explanations, you can be sure that they have no clue what are they talking about. Look at this pyramid, almost exactly the same like the one in Mexico. It's a Kocher pyramid in Cambodia, 10,000 miles away. It's step pyramid, it's a 4 sides, stairways in the middle. Those sides perfectly oriented to the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. From the top, there is inner passageways going down, 2 chambers below, no artifacts. Why? Because there are resonance chambers. They built artificial lakes on the sides, connecting them with the canals. Water moves, releases negative ions. We spoke about it yesterday. Energy amplifiers. This is Cambodia right here. Look at this temple. And this is Guatemala right here. The same architects and the same construction companies. Korea had 30 pyramids, only 3 survived. Cholula Pyramid, that's the largest pyramid in Mexico, largest surface. This is a model. The Spanish came, they built a cathedral on the top of it. Fortunately, parts of it have been reconstructed. Monte Alban, all the pyramids, north-south, except for one, this one here. They call it Astronomical Observatory. Pyramids in China. 1967, archaeologist from China, he had a lecture at the conference in Japan, and he said that there are 250 pyramids in the central province of Shanxi. 20 of them real big, and they are 12,800 years old. He went back to China. They put him into the mental hospital, and nobody heard about him no more. Why? 1967, that's the first year of the famous Chinese Cultural Revolution. If you had opinion different than the mainstream, you wouldn't have a good time. 1967, so 58 years later, has anything changed? After that, the Chinese government decided to plant the trees on their pyramids and to present them as a natural forest to the public. But thanks to the satellite technology, we were able to locate all of them perfectly four-sided pyramids, north, south, east, west, still covered by soil. I was the third foreigner to come and visit almost all of them. I spoke to my Chinese counterparts. They told me they will not get permission to uncover those pyramids for another generation, another 30 years. Why? 12,500. These Chinese archaeologists, I will tell you this story which I usually don't tell. These Chinese archaeologists find clay tablets, some types of inscriptions, hieroglyphic symbols. He deciphered them partially and he said that those pyramids were built 12,800 years ago after their builders had a cosmic accident. Their spaceship ended up on this planet. They could not repair it, so they remained there, and they continued tradition of building pyramids. So, you uncover them, then you realize your history is not 2,300, like the Chinese teach their kids now. Emperor Qin united 7 provinces in one country. He built the great Chinese wall. He studied the same currency, 2,300. Now you need to go back for 10,000 years because of the pyramids. Acapena, beautiful state pyramids in Bolivia. Granite blocks, granite. Obviously they were machined when they were built more than 15,000 years. Did they have machines there? And the lasers? Yesterday we mentioned Pyramid of the Sun, Teotihuacan, 170 years back, and today the length of the size 230 meters. Egyptian, 230 meters. In Egyptian we saw they have number pi, 3.14. Here they have square root of number pi. In Egypt 147, here 74, 2 times bigger is the Egyptian one. In Egypt we have 3 big pyramids, Cheops, Khafre and Mykerinos. Here we have 3 big pyramids, Sun, Moon, Quetzalcoatl, and their layout is exactly the same. Here we can see the signature of the same architect. And they've been telling us that there was no communication, even in those modest 5,000 years back, if we agree that the pyramids were built there. Of course they were not. They were built more than 30,000 years back. Almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. They've been lying to us for far too long. Pyramids in the US. You learn about them in schools? Of course not. My son went to school in Houston, elementary, and the high school, and the university. Not a word about 120 remaining pyramids in the Cahokia National Park in southwestern state of Illinois. And there were thousands of them from Wisconsin down to Texas, to Louisiana, Alabama. Well, they call them mounds. Now, look at this photo. Bottom right. Square, 4-sided pyramid. Step pyramid. But covered by soil and the grass. I spoke to the archaeologist at the site. He told me that it's not just the dirt, because mound is made from dirt. Here we have construction materials. We have shaped sandstone blocks and plates, pebbles, rocks, sand. So we have 4 types of construction material. When they completed the structure, they cut the squares from the grass and soil, turn it upside down, and cover the pyramids. This one here, they call it the monk's mound, has a surface 11% bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. This would be the main attraction in this country, but it's not. I asked the archaeologists, have they not done any archaeological digging? Did they find any chambers and passageways, underground water flows? He said no. I said, why not? He said, well, because it's very expensive and we cannot get permissions. I said, what do you mean you cannot get permissions? This is national park. It belongs to the government. You have a museum at the site, built in 1970, paid $20 million, filled with the half-naked Indians. They're showing them as the builders. Respect to Indians, but Indians never built fixed structures, especially not pyramids. They were nomads. They were moving with the food. If not Indians, if not white Europeans, of course, we never built pyramids. Then who? We need to change the history of this country. There were more advanced civilizations here also. Unfortunately, second half of 19th century, Smithsonian institutes were established by those monsters behind the scene. So what they were doing, they were sending their crews to destroy all the mounds, to retrieve archaeological material, and to hide it under the ground. So when you watch Indiana Jones movies and you see those big warehouses with the stuff that they've been sealed, never to come daylight, it's not SF. So they destroyed so much of it. What they could not destroy, like these guys here, they do not let scientists explore. We are not immune from hiding the history in this country. 3 pyramids in Italy, Monte Vecchio pyramids. There they are, covered by soil, vegetation. Look at their layout. Here it is, 1, 2, 3. Mexico, 1, 2, 3, the same layout. Egyptian, 1, 2, 3. Orion, maybe. Cygnus is better fit. But they did communicate. Gunung Padang, West Java, Indonesia. Our friend, Dr. Danny Hillman, discovered a pyramid there. In the jungle, 4-sided triangular faces, 100 meters, 330 feet. Original look. He did a scientific article. It was published in a peer-reviewed journal. He proved 5 cultural layers. The oldest one, the pyramid itself, 27,000 years. Once it was published, archaeologists from US, from Germany, from UK asked the magazine, asked the journal to retract the article, which they did. Shame. He showed me that inside the pyramid, there is very interesting triangular chamber. But look at this triangle, it's upside down. He is PhD in geophysics from California University. Oh, this is modern. It's a gold pyramid in Chicago, near Chicago. 1979, the wealthy local businessman, he was a general contractor, he started making exact, copy of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, just 9 times smaller. When he was getting to the roof, he could see on his property, which was clay. Clay is waterproof. He could see the water coming up. He completed the project. He got a huge lake. Why? Well, the pyramid has certain powers. It pulls stuff up the water. And that's the reason why all the pyramids needed water for their work. River Nile was much, much closer to those pyramids at the time when it was originally built. You could see Bosnian pyramids, 2 major rivers, water, China, Mexico, Peru, Indonesia, Cambodia. I can see it everywhere. Mexico is the special country. Over there, you talk to the people about ETs. For them, it's just so normal. You talk about the energies. Normal. They've been inviting me to the state of Jalisco, to the city of Ojuelos, for years. They said they discovered some ETs, artifacts. I need to come there. I need to see that. So eventually I did go, 7, 8 years ago. And indeed, 5 caves on the top of the mountains. In the last 100 years, more than 14,000 artifacts were discovered, like this one here. And they were made from granite and volcanic stones, extremely hard material. They did dating about 15,000 years. 15,000 years. Look at this guy, elongated head, elongated eyes. Elongated head, elongated eyes. And we cannot decipher what they are saying here. Elongated eyes again. And again. Now, look at this 3D art. So, the first person, the first being is here. Eyes, nose, mouth. And we have the second guy here. What is he doing? Yeah, it can be that he's sitting in the bathroom. Or he's sitting in the chair, in the spaceship. It's a long trip. And look at this guy. What is he doing? With his helmet in the toilet also? I don't think so. And look at this guy here. Their pets were different. And look at this 3D art. We have a woman here. How do we know it's a woman? It's waving, and the baby in her hand, and waving to the spaceship. And with the messages that we cannot decipher. Granite, very hard material. The depth of the lines is the same everywhere. So it was not done manually. It was done by machine, who had machines 15,000 years ago. You know, I hear a lot of my colleagues, independent researchers, they travel the world, they're doing a good service to promote certain sites, but they don't have a knowledge. They are not scientists. So when they go, sometimes they can talk about important stuff, but official science can very easily fight with them because they have no knowledge. They have no engineering knowledge. They don't do any sample testing, lab analysis, dating. But they cannot do that with me. It's a different story. It was probably a knife. So it has a practical purpose. And again, we have the spaceship. Now we can see the shape. We have this guy who's sitting also. But look at from his mouth. It seems like he was using something, maybe to communicate, a device. And look at this guy here, the head, the ears. Now this looks more like a dog, more like our pet. And what we have here, again, they're showing us a spaceship going away to their home planet. They invited me to come there. And when I came, the guys who found them, for them, of course, it's a precious. So they had the big security. You see those nice, smiley guys? But it turned out that the only reason they invited me was to help them to sell those extremely important artifacts to the Americans. I said, no. I mean, this is your cultural heritage. How about the museums in Mexico? You have many museums. They said, well, we sent some samples, and they said they are false, and they never returned them back. I said, that's fine. Establish the private museum so people can come and see. And then you can charge a little bit the fee so you can make some money. Instead, in the last 7-8 years, the eBay has been flooded with those pieces. And the interesting thing, Mexico is very strict when it comes to the artifacts that you can take out of the country. They don't allow nothing, not even regular stone from the site, nothing. But since they are saying they are false, they are not original artifacts, you can take as many as you want out of the country. Look at this guy here. Well, this guy at least has a smile. Nose, eyes on side. So that's one. And then, number two, look at this person with elongated head and elongated eyes. Again, sitting position. I don't think they were sitting all day long. Probably it shows how they were traveling. And probably it was used as a pendant. You see the hole here? Maybe they were carrying it. And it's always 3D. This guy we already saw. More elements here. I look at now from the back. Again, we have this guy with elongated head and the eyes, holding something in his hand. And this is the back. Again. And this is the side. It would be nice to hold something like this in your hands. This was a gift. This was a gift that these people gave to me. And Mexicans, they never asked me anything about this. People ask me, now, sometimes they do ask me when I travel the world. I said, it's just a souvenir. Oh, okay, souvenir. It has not been made by human hands. It has different energy. People ask me about the Egyptian discovery, about those two Italians, Filippo and Corrado, who just had the presentation on March 15 about those SAR, synthetic aperture radar, Doppler tomography. Tomography, when you see those energy fields. Now, I know both of them, Filippo and Corrado. They were doing some scanning of Bosnian pyramids, and they're going to be coming to Bosnia next year. So I know them, and this is what we were able to see in the last couple of weeks. They claim that in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, instead of only 3 structures, there are a total of 5 structures. They are saying that under the second largest pyramid, Khafre pyramid, in which there are 5 chambers, not just 1, 5, there is a huge structure underneath, cylindrical shaped structure with maybe descending stairs. 658 meters, 2,100 feet. And it ends up at those huge 2 chambers, 80 by 80 meters, which is 270 feet by 270 feet, which is supposed to be empty. And most exciting, 2 kilometers, which is 1.25 miles below the Giza Plateau. They think this light blue or whitish color presents the whole underground cities. Some of you might have heard about this discovery, yes? Well, I did analyze that. And of course, after that, a lot of creative artists are starting, to draw in AI how it might look like. The pyramids are just the tip of the iceberg. Maybe. So when I analyze, this is SAR tomography. I have little experience with the tomography, even though I'm not a geophysicist. You need to have geophysicists to explain that, but let me try to do something. This is the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and this is like relief chamber above it with the 5 levels. To the right is their tomography. If you have light blue color, probably you have a hollow space. When you have a dark blue color, it's a solid, not interesting. If you have this greenish, yellowish, brownish, it might be something. So when we overlay this one over this one, look what we are getting. We have some light blue, but not everywhere. So it's not 100% precise. It is not. But it gives us an idea. This is Queen's Chamber in the same pyramid. And this is SAR tomography. Now, once this one goes over this one is a little bit better fit. You see these light colors are where the chamber is. Not exactly, not precisely. That's why you need to take several, scanning from different angles. So, it's not bad, but you need to have some other technologies, GPR and some others. Now, this one is rather good. This is what they scan. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 of those levels, and we have 5 levels, with huge blocks here, going this way, horizontally. So it's rather good fit. So now we can see that this technology is better than we used to have. That was the pyramid. Now, when we see, and we are looking for the light blue, white, greenish, this is the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It does not show a grand gallery, which is strange. It's the biggest hollow space. It shows something here, which is also right. Okay. Now, a few years ago, some of you might heard that the Japanese experts were using different technology based on Mayan or muon. These are particles coming from the universe, and then once you catch them, you can see based on different speed if there is a different resistance, if there is a void space. But they placed this void much closer to the Grand Gallery than Filippo and Corrado. And now, exciting parts. It seems that we have in 2 parallel rows, indeed, 8 columns going below the pyramid, which was based for their claim that there are those 8 cylindrical shape structures. Now, is it meant for people to go down there? I don't think so. Is it part of some energy structure, energy amplifier? Most probably, yes. And finally, this underground city, 1.2 miles below the ground. Well, 1.2 miles below. Imagine what kind of technology you should have to dig, and you come today and then you can see this solid rock. How do they do that? I mean, 20 feet is tough. Thousands of feet. So maybe this can be, a natural passageways, chambers, voids, hollow spaces. So I'm not sure about this. But people already started talking about the Hall of Amenti. Hall of Amenti. What is Hall of Amenti? Well, Thoth, and like I said, some people think that he personally designed and built Egyptian pyramids. He said for himself that he went to the Hall of Amenti. He got all the most advanced knowledge from the universe, and he became immortal. And this is when he built the pyramids, Hall of Amenti. We spoke about this yesterday, right? Kukulkan Pyramid, energy beam, and the Pyramid of the Moon, Teotihuacan, Mexico, and the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. So no doubt that we are faced with a technology that in most cases we cannot even explain. And most of that technology has been hidden for different reasons, either in the jungle or it was hidden by those evil forces behind us. Yesterday I also mentioned that once a year, for 1 full week, I host tours, conferences, and festivals in Bosnia. People can come 365 days a year. We work every day, doesn't matter, holiday, Easter, Christmas, New Year's, we are open every day. Why? Because we live from tourism. That's our only source of income. So we take tourism very seriously. This year, like I said, we're going to have Michael Tellinger of South Africa, great man, great personality, and a great researcher. He discovered hundreds of stone circles in South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe. Valery Uvarov from Russia, he's the most productive pyramid builder in the world. Right now, he's finishing a project of 33 huge pyramids in Siberia, Tomsk. I was the first foreigner to see them. Klaus Donner from Austria, he always brings a lot of interesting stories about out-of-place artifacts. That's how they call them, out of place, that you cannot, link them to any known civilization. Ken Cherry, now for some of you, from MUFON might remember this guy. He was heading Texas MUFON organization. And finally, the pyramid researchers, Dr. J.J. Hertag and Dr. Desiree Hertag, so we're going to have a lot of fun. People, especially when they travel overseas, they're a little bit scared, but if you decide to treat yourself, and remember, the life is short. So if you decide to do that, all you need to do, you buy the tickets to Sarajevo airport. What I do, Houston, Istanbul, Sarajevo. Or you can fly via Chicago and then Frankfurt or Munich or Zurich, or you go to travel agency or you go online. Usually the tickets are $1,400, $1,500 return tickets. That's your cost. Once you get there, in that flyer, do you have a flyer? I think you have some flyers over there at the reception, at that desk with the books. We have a website, and basically once you pay the whole package, everything is taken care of. We come for you at the airport, and then you are in a 5-star spa hotel with a swimming pool. Not that you're going to swim a lot, but at least you got a good feeling. I'm in a good hotel. You're going to be eating organic food, not this GMO trash. You're going to be in the company of one of the greatest researchers in the world. I'll be taking you personally to all these sites, Period of the Sun and the Moon and the Tumulus and the Ramne tunnels. We have 7 more tunnels, and we have the most beautiful park. It doesn't matter the age. And in the afternoons, these people will be talking. They're going to be having 3-hour talks, so you're going to be learning a lot. If you miss this year, if it is too close, come next year or the following years, unless they start another project globally. And that would be all, folks. Thank you very much.